We always knew that Blizzard needed to have more than just Diablo, Overwatch, and Warcraft, right? And we know they do have more, but a few of those other IPs had been a bit abandoned. And what people had heard of was unannounced free-to-play mobile games.
Fantastic.
This didn't particularly have people hyped. So, evidently, Blizzard are doing big things. Mike Ybarra did tease that over the coming weeks there would be more information on upcoming games. He's actually dropped another tease shortly after what happened with today's story, which is the unveiling-ish of Blizzard's new intellectual property, a new game set in a new world. Which, of course, is an important thing. I know there's a lot of, but what about Overwatch and Diablo? And that's totally true. But if this company is going to have a long-term future, then it really does need to start thinking about what is next beyond the things that they've got, in the stages of production now. So, Blizzard's first new IP in 8 years. Here's some promotional art and, as you would call it, isekai game. An otherworld game where you can see, obviously, two humans who would fit in our world. It's evidenced by their bicycle and these skyscrapers stepping through a portal into, definitely not Nagrand, with Dalaran there, into some sort of fantastical world. Now, there is another bit of concept art that also tells us a bit more, and I think tells us a lot more about the world that these two fellows are going to be going into.
Yes.
So, Blizzard is embarking on our next quest. We're going on a journey to a whole new universe, home to a brand new survival game for PC and console. A place full of heroes we have yet to meet, stories yet to be told, and adventures yet to be lived. A vast realm of possibility waiting to be explored. Every story needs a teller, and every world needs builders. What if that could be you? So again, that's like, is that maybe giving us a little bit of a hint at what they are trying to do with this game?
Or
is it trying to get staff? Or is it a little bit of both? Because I think, I don't mean user-generated content as in like literal user-generated stories, but if I think about a lot of game development right now, what a lot of the modern designers absolutely love is actually games like Tarkov. A lot of those, even the survival games like the Valheims, where there's so many just user-generated cool stories that happen in the world. So I imagine they're going for that. And as post continues, for 30 years, Blizzard has been creating universes for millions of players around the globe. This requires a diverse team of developers willing to lend their voices to listen and to be heard. That is our mission. Do you like survival games? Do you want to join a collaborative team of experienced devs at the early stage of a new project in a new world and help write the next chapter in Blizzard history? This is your call to adventure. Will you answer it? Apply here, careers.blizzard.com, where we can see a variety of roles, lead and senior engineers, same for design, same for art. So this is very much, from what I understand, this is a game that has been in a very early stage for, I think, a decent chunk of time. One of the developers on it, Craig Amai, I don't know if he was the lead developer, but I know he was very influential in the artifact weapon system of World of Warcraft's Legion expansion. Now, while that system obviously had its cons, and a lot of us pointed them out, overall it was a successful system for the game that did deliver a bunch of power and fantasy that players generally did engage with pretty well. So I think, no wonder that he ends up moving off the WoW team, moving on to, I guess, what Blizzard wants to be their hot new thing.
Absolutely.
And looking at this, if you only saw this image, you wouldn't think that it was an isekai sort of game. An otherworld game where modern humans are going, and almost like that big Square Enix game.
Forspoken,
Yeah, Forspoken, where it's like, she's just from Earth. Now she's in Fantasyland. You wouldn't think that, and I've got to say, I like the art style. And this is obviously concept art, so we'll have to see what it actually looks like. But, hey, look, Blizzard, they have great artists. We've always known this.
Yep, absolutely. There's very big Overwatch vibes to, I'm just obviously looking at, the helmet reminds me of, the Anubis bit from, Anubis skin from Farah. So it's a lot of, kind of that, obviously having, a interesting helmet, like the Jackals thing there is really, they definitely have a decent bit of concepting done. So they have, but...
Do I think of? Fantasy Destiny.
Oh,
I don't mean for the game format, but I mean one of the things Destiny, I liked its gear. I like how it was taking a sci-fi bent to, was it a fantasy bent to sci-fi gear or a sci-fi bent to fantasy gear? Or maybe a little bit of both. But with this, it feels like, okay, it's that, but we're not going techie with it. So I kind of like the mix of things that's going on. So sweet, we'll have to see what the game is, obviously. And to learn a bit more about that, we've got some comment from current and former Blizzard employees, as well as some updates from Mike Ybarra himself, who is, of course, the leader of Blizzard. So let's go. Blizzard is officially working on the survival game for PC and console, whole new universe. They revealed the project via a job posting on their official site. Again, going for very key positions, but the more senior positions like, director and executive producer seemingly have been filled. And according to a quick trawl of LinkedIn, Sean Gibson has been serving as lead game producer on this since February 2021. Now, could be some good news here. I mean, depends how you see it, but he was the lead game producer of an unannounced mobile title from November 17 to February 21. Was that cancelled? Or has he merely moved over? We don't know.
Yeah. Was it cancelled or is it finished?
That too.
Are they just sitting on it? Because obviously announcing a mobile title would be a great move for investors, but not a great move for players. So I think if there's any mobile stuff that are ready to launch, they will definitely wait at least a little bit, or at least, they'll have a planned launch date and they'll announce it closer to that. They'll wait until the current, hey, we've got the PC and console stuff on the way. Here's a mobile game.
Yeah.
So I think given, if he was on that for, 3 years and a couple months, definitely either canned or done, I think.
Yeah. So then we've got, him moving over. There's no mention of, the really, really large things, which probably means that decent progress has been made, which would make sense. From what I feel from this, the exploration into this game, the prototyping has probably been done. They're probably now in a stage before main production kicks off where they want to get more of their senior production team in place. And then probably hire out more after that.
Yes.
Or maybe they are going to redeploy internal resources. It's hard to know, obviously.
Yeah. So, I guess for what that means for a release for this game window, we're not looking at, unless something goes wrong, we're probably not looking at 4 to 5 years, as would expect with hey, we're spinning up a new project. This is likely closer to the 2.5, 3 that maybe looking at.
Interesting. I would have thought 25, 26. And then add a year for good measure.
Yeah, I guess.
But actually, when you do make a decent point, actually, you really do, because Overwatch and Diablo 4. Now, me and you never thought they were going to be coming out in the same year.
No, not a chance.
But they seemingly both got pushed out of a 2022 window. But I wonder if that was kind of just a broad coverage thing. But if you were to imagine anyway, hang on a second, Overwatch 2 is not coming out this year.
No.
Sometimes you remember that and imagine what it must be like to be a dedicated Overwatch player.
Awful.
That's just bonkers.
Yeah.
Okay, so if Overwatch 2 is 2023, Diablo 4 is 2024.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got your WoW and your Hearthstone always pumping. Sprinkle in some mobile projects, then maybe this is 25, 26.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing where, they could follow the, because I know the Sony model is just kind of, not once a year, but, twice a year they'll have major projects, generally is what they aim for. They aim for one early and one late, as opposed to overcrowding the one moment.
Yeah.
I feel like Blizzard need to get out, because they have so many projects, if they start doing the thing of, we'll get one per year, and then we'll have all of our intermittent bits, that might just leave this taking a little bit too long. I mean, maybe, because that is still, 3 years for this, but, 3.5 years, I guess, which is longer than I think is, well, I don't know, it's hard to say.
If they can do one per year, including a WoW expansion year.
Yeah.
So, Overwatch, Warcraft, actually, no, there's no way of doing that without having a double launch here.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I suppose there is that thing where there's aspects of this genre that are quite modern. I hope Blizzard are thinking about how they're going to innovate significantly in what we have now, such that when this comes out, it feels like an innovation in the market. So that will be the interesting thing.
That's one of the things that people have been saying quite a lot. I mean, obviously it's not the majority opinion or anything like that, but there's a lot of people going, survival game? A good job, Blizzard. You're batting so far behind the years, as always. This was the hot new genre a while ago.
I think that's their strength.
But it is their strength, I think, because they've had time to look at everything that's happened. Yeah. And the genre certainly has, legs to stand on for a long time. So there's definitely a great case for them to come out and go, hey, we've studied the market. We know where it's going. We can be there. Like they tried to do with Heroes of the Storm, and ultimately missed.
Mm-hmm.
But, this same point was roughly there.
Yes, there's a lot of shooters out there.
Yeah.
I know loads of people who would never play a shooter, but turned into big Overwatch people.
Yeah.
I imagine they want to do that for the survival genre.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who aren't going to play Rust because it's a little bit too out there, or, I guess Tarkov kind of is of the shooter, but has the same kind of elements to it of, hey, this is the, instance-based kind of user story stuff.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, the major thing that Blizzard's kind of missing is that kind of, make your own fun in a way. I'd expected that to take a more, take not a survival game approach. I expect that to take a different approach. One that was a bit more, here's a hyper-casual MMO. That's what I'd expected.
That's kind of what that's more what I'd feel.
Yeah, but a survival game is unexpected, interesting, but also kind of hopeful because, there's been no one massive in that space. I mean, obviously Blizzard are fighting against the tide with their talent, but, if they're hiring now for it and they've taken their existing talent over to it internally, then there's no reason to assume it's not going to be good.
Yeah, so for another person, Dana Poole is also serving as a senior test analyst on this. He started December. So there's another person. He's been with Blizzard quite a while, actually, across customer and technical support, art graphics, QA roles. He's got credits on everything. StarCraft Remastered, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft and its expansions, Diablo 3, Overwatch, Hearthstone. He's been around. Also, a human NPC.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
In World of Warcraft. Anyway, this is Blizzard's first new IP since Overwatch. Now, Overwatch was unveiled 2014, released 2016. Yeah. I think the big difference, though, is that this isn't a game unveiling. We don't have a name. We don't have a trailer. We don't know what gameplay's like. We did know those things for Overwatch. So while this is true, definitely do not expect any form of cadence even resembling that.
Yeah, it's just the idea that it's been 8 years,
Yeah.
8 whole years.
But it is Blizzard expanding across genres. They've got team-based shooter, RTS, deck builder, MMORPG, action RPG, survival game, right? So they're pushing their boundaries a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, obviously, Blizzard have been having a tough time. The staff with their bonuses and all of that being tied to profit share. Perpetually good times have been around the corner. This is another sort of case of that. I think for a lot of people, though, combined with Microsoft giving them some degree of confidence, knowing that there is, more stuff coming beyond Overwatch and Diablo, I mean, perhaps that will help them. Obviously, all the people in Blizzard will have known about this, but if there's some good community sentiment there, maybe that will help them a little bit with retention, assuming, whenever Microsoft takes over, things actually do get better.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically the finest opportunity they possibly have to make a move on this stuff. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Another thing too, they clearly have been struggling to get talent. Mm-hmm. This is a very talent acquisition oriented reveal.
Oh yeah, I think
that's pretty major.
Yep.
So it'll be a question of whether this can really overpower people's suspicions. Certainly from people in and around that team who've been tweeting, or people who maybe have a spouse in that team. It's generally been positive things. Who knows? Maybe it's a situation where there's a game director who, like Jeff Kaplan, was trying to be a shield against the bullshit. And of course, Activision Blizzard have confirmed that they're not going to be voluntarily recognizing that union. And now, I think for some staff, Blizzard might feel a bit different to an Activision studio, but we'll have to see. Now then, Mikey Barr is also promising more news, so if you care about the existing games, sadly seemingly not StarCraft 2, then yeah, some new info could actually be coming. Right, so a few comments have happened, some people saying, why are you talking about this? What about the other games? To which, I can totally understand a consumer feeling that, definitely, but ultimately the studio does need to think about what's next, because, I mean, this shit, you've got to be planning years and years and years ahead, and you've got to be hiring for what you need years ahead. That's the good planning that leads to projects coming out instead of endless streams of shit shows. But there's been those accusations of them maybe stretching themselves too thin by adding this on top of everything else. I mean, certainly, if some of the staff on this were maybe, still in World of Warcraft, maybe things would be a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And of course, with Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, there's the Diablo 4 quarterly updates, but it's still a bit of a mystery.
Yeah, where's the game? That's what that's the part the players really care about.
Mike doesn't seem to be worried.
Nope.
Because Mike has said Blizzard is a big studio. We have talented and growing teams to support the live games as well. That is true. Like, we know that the World of Warcraft team has been hiring pretty aggressively, as an example. Over the coming weeks, you'll be hearing more from Warcraft and Overwatch. Diablo will follow. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to be expecting Warcraft and Overwatch in the next few weeks. Yeah. Now, what that will mean for Warcraft is, I mean, absolutely a release date for patch 9.2. Yeah. Given this context, I think it might be next expansion stuff. I wouldn't. I'd expect to see that decently soon because, frankly, time's ticking. Clock's ticking.
Yeah.
If we're saying that there's 6 months of beta minimum that has to happen for the next WoW expansion before it comes out, Blizzard have always had an expansion pretty much every 2 years. Yep. So the clock's kind of ticking. I'm expecting a WoW expansion thing decently soon. Yeah. And of course, we're also hitting that time where all the leaks are happening and, you know, all those things.
Basically, they've got the patch date to announce, but then they can tease the expansion right after that.
I think so.
So they might even do both at the same time. That would be a pretty good play. Give people the the 1-2 punch of here's what's happening right now, and also here's what's happening in the future. Please resub for the when low amount. Thank you.
Yeah, I think absolutely that's the way to do it. Now, of course, for the Overwatch people, they'll feel funky because the 2022 Overwatch League is still set to be played using an early, apparently pre-alpha build of Overwatch 2, even though Overwatch 2 has a release window, 2023 now? So that's a bit weird. Yeah. A very strange situation, but... Well, it seems to come from frustrated Overwatch League team owners who felt the league was losing relevance with the sequel coming coming at some sort of undefined, unclear point. And certainly, if you're an Overwatch 2 team member, like, you got to remember here, everyone, the Bobster, he slung this shit hard. The buy-ins, remember, this isn't just like, oh, there's an official tournament. We'll make an esports org. We'll get some sponsors. Yeah. We'll get some players, and that will somehow be profitable, I guess. No, this was Blizzard saying, hey, we're selling this like it's American NFL, isn't it?
Yeah, we're the next LCS. We're the video game NFL.
So to field a Overwatch competitive team in that tournament, those buy-ins were like, what's like $20 million or something?
Something like insane, yeah.
Giga money. We, of course, had leaks that the team owners were pretty frustrated at their return on investment on that.
Seems like I imagine it feels to them like a massive scam, honestly.
Especially given, like, where the fuck is Overwatch 2?
Yeah.
Could you imagine being an Overwatch team owner?
It'd be awful.
Wow.
Awful. Yeah, so that's one of the things, because you look at Heroes of the Storm, and they just pulled the rug out under that massively. But they can't do that with Overwatch because of the situation set up. They have to keep them strung along. They have to do something for them instead of just, sorry, bad luck.
Yeah. And then to finalize things. A little bit of a clarification for Mike. He quote tweeted saying, I've played many hours of this project with the team and I'm incredibly excited about the team's vision and the brand new world it presents for players to immerse themselves in together. So there you go. Sort of thing, fair enough for him to say. Kind of get the vibes because recently I did play the prologue build of the Pale Beyond. And I can say I'm extremely even more excited about Pale Beyond stuff after having sat down and, played what is a very, very large slice of a fucking video game. Certainly whenever that happens. Because you sort of see the thing coming together. But then you kind of experience it in a way similar to an end user. And it's like, fuck, you can actually see it.
Yeah.
So, wish list The Pale Beyond and Steam. Smooth as always.
Yeah, please do.
So there we go, Blizzard.
Yeah, this is... it almost feels unprecedented for them to be like, hey, we're making an entirely new game again, because Overwatch feels like it was a lifetime ago and a different Blizzard ago.
It does.
Importantly. So this is very much this is their please hang around until at least we release this play. Then until then, they've got a much more pressing problem, which is getting their existing fans to feel good again. Because they very much need you could think of it as like a multi-track approach of we need to set up the future, but we also need to solve our existing user problems. And then those existing user problems are occurring across Overwatch, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, and Diablo at the same time. So they definitely have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, it's like this is all cool, but ultimately I need the next WoW expansion to be great.
Yeah, because
that's the rub.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh yeah, you're getting a new survival game, but where the fuck is StarCraft? That's the thing that's the thing Blizzard fans will be feeling, and winning them back is going to be substantially difficult. Which, I mean, to be honest, if I were Blizzard, to be cynical about it, I would maybe think maybe it's too hard to win old fans back. Maybe we should put our focus on getting new fans.
Yeah.
That might be one of the... I mean, obviously they've got the resources to make multiple plays. This might be one of those plays. And, you know, fair to them.
Yeah, you know, I suppose it's just weird we're not getting this in the form of an exciting BlizzCon thing, but
yeah,
how much is that even going to be viable until they manage to repair themselves?
Yeah,
so,
I don't think BlizzCon will happen, even in an online format, for a long time.
Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they do an online one soon enough, maybe next year. Or, you know, perhaps they do well-polished digital game presentations. I think that's probably what they're going to do for this Warcraft and you know, Overwatch Diablo stuff.
Yeah.
So there we go, everyone. That's some of the long-term future of Blizzard Entertainment. Of course, now a studio operating under Microsoft Corporation. Pretty interesting.
Indeed.
But hey, you know, if Bobby does leave and it is Phil Spencer and his management team calling the shots, maybe some of these longer-term projects will come out good. We had Tracy Kennedy, I believe, you know, saying all that stuff about, hey, Bobby, we really love how you put us onto all these projects that wasted loads of our time and delayed Overwatch 2. I don't think Phil's going to do that. You know? I mean, unlike Bobby, Ybarra actually plays games. Could be useful.
Yeah, indeed.
Could be useful. So, there you go. Speaking of playing games, if you want to help us out with our game, you can always wishlist The Pale Beyond on Steam. You can either just search for Pale Beyond, you'll get it that way.
Links in the description.
Or links in the description.
Yep.
And with an obligatory plug done, it's time for us to go away. Goodbye.